Hello, we are live. We are live. Welcome. Right, I'm just gonna do quick sound check to make sure everything is okay.
3 years early. Now pay attention, because isn't that exactly what?
When were you planning on telling?
I can't even see it from here. Actually, no, maybe I can. I go to my profile. Okay. Looks like it's working. Okay. Looks like it's working. Okay. We're in. Hi, welcome to In the Motherhood. I am Mother, and it has been 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks since I've been able to come online, and thank you so much for bearing with me in this time. I've actually barely been posting. I will to be honest with you, I've been going through grief. I recently lost my father, and we had someone else in the family as well that passed. So it's been like a really tumultuous time, and it's been I've just needed to take a step back and process like a lot of things. Obviously we are still going through it, but as always we'll be continuing to share the journey. Thank you so much, Babs. Share the journey and the revelations as well that is coming from this and all my experiences as I usually do. So we're gonna get into it anyway. We're gonna talk a little bit today because about grief, about loss, about how that interacts with alchemy, how that connects to your own personal purpose and your manifestations, like what you're manifesting. I think that like during grief process, and I've definitely experienced this, you can really start to believe that nothing is happening for you, and you can start to look at the world as more loss, and maybe like do you really deserve the things that you're trying to create for yourself? Are they ever going to come to you? It's not true. Like what? Like if all the things you've been telling yourself, start denying them to yourself that it's not true, and that's all a part of the process as well. So we're gonna like talk a little bit about that. Also, people have been asking me what is my thoughts as well on things like the afterlife, and also I've been having a very, very strong connection to my dad since his passing, and over the time when the veil was very thin for him when he was actually passing, because it was a slow process. We knew it was happening. I have been like having a very strong connection as well. So I want to touch on some of those things as well. If we like, how do we communicate with our loved ones after they leave us, and what is that all about. So if there are people out there, if you are on the live and you are thinking, you know, you have some thoughts on the process, you have some personal belief, whether that's rooted in your own personal belief, your spiritual belief, or whatever it is, I'd love to hear about that. We'd love to be able to talk about that today. And also, you know, just to get like some other views as well. But obviously I'm going to share my views with you today, and hopefully this helps somebody else, you know. And that's the whole purpose in sharing, is that in the darkness there comes a light, and that light is there as a guidance, not just for you but for those around you as well. So yeah, so for those of you who just joined, yeah, like going through like a lot with that, and yeah, sorry. Anyway, back to it. So first things first question was how does it tie in, how does grief tie into alchemy? Of course, like, you know, we are used to looking at deities, goddesses and stuff, witches such as like Hecate, for guidance, Persephone and such. These deities, these spiritual entities, they work a lot with death. However, when challenged with death in life, like if you see death in tarot, death is not really death. Death is about change. Death is about a cycle of renewal. And a friend said to me, like, you know, you obviously work a lot with like Baphomet. Why is it that you work with like these death gods? And I immediately responded and I said, well, that's because they deal in dark magic, and for me, my guidance comes in the dark. So that doesn't just happen like in the dark itself as a metaphor, but in alchemy, metaphors are life. So like you create a ritual and you create your like spell, and that spell is like translated into life. It's a metaphor, but it's like also real. So when I'm going into the darkness, I lost my nan in November and subsequently passed my maths GCSE. Yeah, like thank you River for sharing that, because that is exactly, that's how it happens. Like, you know, grief turns into this thing that actually usually comes at a time when like energy is like returning and then coming out as like something else. And yeah, that's, I was just getting my point on, is that in that dark space, like you in that meditation, you put yourself into the darkness, but it's also a reflection of like what you're going through. You're moving through that dark time and you're seeking the light. Then she died in the morning after my last maths exam. Wow, that is powerful, River. Thank you so much for sharing. I do feel like, you know, in those moments, because like those people who are close to us and love us, it's almost as if it's like their last act, you know, to be able to give back and to be able to finally truly give their energy to us. And like when I think about, like, you know, when I think about what I'm gonna be, what we receive in life, it does feel very much like a little bit selfish, but it's also like this loving act of our loved ones, that and their energy comes back to us in a way that helps us to make life keep going on and keep doing well. If someone says, how is my sister doing? I'm doing okay, thank you. I'm trying, I'm getting through. Since then I've had fallen into a deep depression, if that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, River. And you know what? It's very easy to get to that place because we're like holding on to the stuff, and it's so hard to accept that offering, But here's the thing with manifestation and with this particular type of ritual, like the death ritual, is that when we don't want to receive this energy because we don't want to lose someone that we love. But you got to understand that life and death itself is a process. And in that last loving act of that energy being able to come back to you, you need to not just receive, but you also need to let go. And when we are not able to fully let go, that is when we sit in that depression, and it will be just like this energy that builds and builds and builds and builds. Letting go, so for me, what I did, I burnt a candle. I started a candle when my dad passed, and then last night was his 9-9, and I finished the candle, and then I literally said thank you, you can go now. And it's and I cried, and I just feel obviously that doesn't necessarily feel like enough, but it's just such a hard thing to accept, that you have to let go. But life and death, there is more to life, there's more to energy. You and I am you. We're all connected, and our loved ones are always part of our energy, whether it be in life or in death. So when they're outside of this physical realm, they are still with us, they are still in our thoughts, and I want to get on a little bit to that as well, about connecting with them and how to access them in your heart and your thoughts as well. But just before that, to understand they might not be here in that physical body no more, but the spiritual body is with us. A lot has changed since I fell. It's a different energy. And okay, I'm gonna come into the energy thing as well. So Billy Bong Bing Belly, the definition of energy, in terms of, are you relating that in terms of the conversation that we have now? I'm gonna try and relate it to the conversation that we have now, because there's energy that goes in your light, there's electric that goes in your light, that turns on the light and the light comes on. Without the energy that goes into there, it's just there. But even if you don't turn the light on, the energy has passed through it, and it actually does have some form of energy, just not enough that it can't turn on the light, because there's something in it. So once something's been created, it's got energy. It just might not be enough energy necessary to power something. We're talking about spirit as in terms of spiritual energy. Spirit is the energy that powers us, that essentially turns the light on. There's enough, when there's enough of it in one place, then we are human or animals or whatever. We come into life, we come into sentience. So that this, when the body is housing enough of spirit, then we can actually communicate with one another and do things. But even when the body is not housing spirit, energy never dies. That energy goes somewhere, and it just goes back into the fabric of all reality. And reality as we see it, our human body only processes and can only see certain frequencies of reality. Cats see reality different, spiders see reality different, depending on your physical attributes. Is that tells us how we can see reality. So even though like spirit energy is all around us, we can't see it, but it's still there. What does it say? Cats are amazing. Cats are amazing. Hold on. What is frequency? Frequency is literally like sounds. So before there is physical, there's before we got a solid, we got like sounds. Yeah. So sounds is like the first thing. So everything, reality and how we see it, it all begins with. This one would be a really hard one to get into. We'll go into that. I want to go into those things a lot more deeper, but just the sheer essence of it is that reality as we know it is I don't like to use the words like projection or whatever, but we are watching ourselves. We are watching the playback of ourselves, like in life. So just like how you're watching the TV or whatever, like we are in a sense housed in ourselves, watching ourselves. It's quite difficult to explain, but yeah, we are tuned into a certain frequency in terms of like what we can see. Just like if you turn the TV or the radio, you get a certain channel on the radio because you're getting a certain frequency. There are still other channels like on the radio, and you tune them into different ones and you hear different ones. Like, you know, if you've got multicam, then you can probably see a lot, and there are like different like levels and stuff, but as on a human baseline, like we are seeing things in one way. As I said, other and animals and things, they see things on another way. So this spiritual energy that we got is all around us. Do you mean electromagnetic radiation? Electromagnetic radiation, it's all a part of it. Like it's all a part of it. It's definitely got maybe something to do with it, but it goes a bit beyond like our first instinctual like human understanding of frequency, because of course we are only discovering things that we can discover that's in our perception, but there's also things that's outside of our perception as well, that we only get a glimpse of what that is like when we like kind of cross spiritually into like over that veil state. Like for example, if you do like transcendental meditation, or you know, say you use the nature's medicines, for example. I don't want to say any words that's going to take me off TikTok here, but you know, there are things that help to bend our reality to help us to see things like a little bit different. So as a normal understanding of what it is, it gives us like a clue into what that is, but it's not the full understanding of it. You need to like see both sides to see the bigger picture. Okay, frequencies are number cycles per unit time given to oscillation phenomena. That's a wonderful description. Thank you very much. Actually, we use a lot of tools to see into other parts of the EM spectrum, and I would love to hear about all of those, because I have my understanding and my perception of how I see things using my like spiritual alchemy. So I would love to see how we can take that into a form of like being able to do it in like the grounded like 3D state. So I'm definitely gonna look that up, and if you have any like more information on that, I would love to see that, is so I can look into that. Thank you so much, Billy Bob Bing Belly. That's a cool name. So yeah, so alchemy is an archaic and disproven practice. Again, there we go. So we are, whilst we're there trying to prove things in like that physical matter, that is one space, and that's okay. Proven is in the pudding, in it. Like, you know, there's proof in the pudding, as they say. Like, I am a practitioner, and I have my own personal experience that I have seen. So what makes my proof any less evidence? Because I don't necessarily have a doctorate in the subject, because it's not like peer driven, but my peers are the witches and the alchemy community around me, the people who use practice, the people who do healing techniques. And I know personally for myself what has worked, and I have my own guidance system. So, do you document and publish it? Have you constructed a theory? It's something that I'm working on for sure, and I'm in the process of documenting a lot. And part of that process is actually this program, where I will be exploring a lot more, and gives me an opportunity to be able to gather a lot of those thoughts together. So I'm in the process of doing that. And in terms of like one unified theory, I have a unified theory, but there are just like a lot of factors around it that I have to now build upon and kind of clarify, so that I can, well, when you say define theory, as in, like, you know, this, if you do this, then this will happen, or this happens because of this. And then obviously it's around my unified theory is a source consciousness of all. And I touched on that a little bit about us watching ourselves back into reality, but there's a lot more that comes with it. It extends over into the physicality of like what we experience and what we do every day, but and also how we access ourselves, and also into our purpose of being, your purpose and my purpose of being, like why we're all here together. So there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of things around that, and in between and around all of those things is alchemy, it's practice, it's manifestation, it's the actual journey now, it's living that journey. And how do we use practices that are maybe archaic in some senses, or I would say ancestral, you know, to be able to connect that with our modern ways of being, because obviously we live in a modern world. We are looking into ancestral practice, but we're living in a modern world. So how do we use that practice now as part of our modern living? A theory is a mathematical framework describing an aspect of physical world. Maths also can be A and B equals C, so it doesn't have to be numbers, you know. But I am enjoying very much your take on it all, and how you see the world, and that's what it's all about in it, because we all are different, and I'm gonna have mine and you're gonna have yours, and it's in me being able to listen to you. How do you become a witch? Rapping Tony. This is like a really great question. A little bit off topic of what we're talking about today, but most people, I guess, are drawn to witchcraft and alchemy because they start to have questions about life, and they start and life starts showing them stuff, and they will either fear and turn away from it. Or do you read Witch magazine? I don't read Witch magazine, but if there's I've never even knew that existed. I probably should look for it. Okay, I'm gonna come back to the witch thing. Said it's scummy to tell people to talk to their loved ones. It's cruel. Stop it. Okay, well, we all have to have our opinions. Billy bobbing belly. For me, it helps me a lot. maybe for some it doesn't, but that's the life we're all living. We're all living together. We are all experiencing life together, and we cannot stop being, and we cannot stop helping one another, because some people, they won't like it. And sometimes you don't like something until you like it. Sometimes you first hear something, it sounds offensive, like, to the ears, and it feels offensive to the heart, but it just takes a while, like, just to sink in and just to understand, like, what is that information about, why, like, and why is you are experiencing it in the way that you are, and then later on it just becomes something. But yeah, later on it goes on to becoming more helpful. So just going back to a little bit about becoming a witch, um like, usually people, like, they experiencing, like, things in their life that they can't explain, and they're looking for answers. And they might have ancestral ties, what they're looking into, or but usually it's like life just starts showing you things. And I think that, I don't know if everybody has it in them to be a witch, but they definitely, um there is a choice there for everyone, like, if you wanted to make that choice. But not everyone's going to have the capacity or be on that journey where they're going to make that choice. And then it's really, for me, being a witch is just about understanding that you can make that choice, and that you do have that power, and then starting to learn to trust that power. And then also, comes with everything as well, comes the personal journey of knowing how to use that power as well. And that comes with a guiding spirit, guiding you along the way. So it's a very personal journey. It's something that you can go out and you can buy books or magazines even, and you can read about other people, what they've done and how they've done it. But it's not something you just learn in a book. It's your own personal journey. Okay, so can you talk to my lost loved ones? That's not something that I do, Rob. Yeah, I don't actually do that. um but I would say this, yeah, is that our loved ones, if you, and this is the thing, this leans into the question about being a witch. It's about your own personal power and about belief in your power, and everything you do is about your intention. And your intention doesn't mean, in this sense, the why you're doing something. It's the faith and belief and trust that you have in yourself, your personal power, and your just the strength, that your actual capacity to be able to do something. And looking within, if when you know your loved ones, you know them. If you take yourself to a very quiet space, maybe a dark space, because it helps. I find that the darkness personally pushes everything out, and it's very hard to do dark room meditation, because in the dark, a lot of other things come out, a lot of thoughts, a lot of fears come at us in the dark. But if you can just allow yourself to trust yourself in that space, and you sit down in the dark and you really just focus on them, eyes closed or eyes open. This is a good thing about dark room meditation, because you can actually have your eyes open, but eyes closed might be a bit more comforting. You can actually think about them and think about your questions, and just allow yourself just to let go, and just be aware of what thoughts are coming into you, because those thoughts is also your spirit come back, and your loved ones are with spirit. Your love, we're all, we are together. So and the more you do this, the more you can start to really, you have to trust what it is that you're receiving, and then the more you'll be able to form that connection with them. And in my times, my very first connection with a loved one was my grandma. She was my primary carer when I was growing up, and after she left, I was very depressed, like, for a long time. into adulthood. And one time I was like really crying, and I was like holding my chest so tight. I was crying and crying, and I just felt so hopeless in that moment. And I just took a breath, and I just held my chest, or held my heart, and I just said, Nanny, like, you know, why is this happening? Like, I miss you, like, you're not here. And I just really I just felt like I heard her inside, like not auditory here, but here, you know, in your mind, like in like my soul, I could hear her just saying, I'm with you, like I love you. And it that very first time when I actually really strongly felt that, it was during a time where I just like let everything go. I just gave up, and I feel like your ego, this shell that we got, is got all of these ideas about everything. And the moment I just stopped caring about any ideas about what people would think about me, if I just felt so totally alone in that space. Was the moment that that sense of knowing and really truly connecting with her, that's the moment when that finally came through. But you know, that taught me something, that, you know, it was literally about letting go that exterior shell, that mask that you build up, that is looking back at you, that is judging you in those moments. You know, if we don't necessarily have to go into that dark space, like this is where we do the dark room meditation, it's really important, because, you know, it's replicating that without having to go deep into those feelings. There is potential to bypass that. Okay, where's your broomstick and wand? Cast a spell. I do have a wand. I have many wands. I do have a broom, but this not as a normal broom. 2026 is just plastic. So thank you. And I love that, and I love, you know what, it's and that's the thing, is this, like, you know, being a witch is just actually so freeing as well, because all of the things that we've built up around us that we judge ourselves over, you get these things, you get like little digs and everything. I'm honestly, and taking it all in jest and everything is fine, yeah, but like a lot of things trigger you in, but when you are a witch, your triggers become like, you know, it gets worrying, because you're like, if these are no longer my triggers, what are my triggers now? It's always going to be something else, but it makes you really strong. And this is the kind of journey that you go through, learning how to meet your triggers and being able to give empathy to yourself and to others in those moments. And it really just gives you that space to have that will to drive your manifestations, so that you can be able to create the things in your life that you want to create. Yeah, so let's see if there's any other questions on here. Yeah, okay, so thank you. So yeah, so in that same breath, we're talking about now grief and like what it means to us. And we had someone on live say earlier that, you know, that after their loved one had passed, then they passed their GCSE shortly after that. Similar for me, after my mother passed, my whole life changed like right after. And there is a pattern of like, with any loss comes a win. And as a witch, what we do is, like, when loss is happening, like, create a space for like active loss, for getting rid of things. Could be clearing out your closet, could be like cleaning out your house, could be like, old wounds, things that you've had with friends or people that you no longer connect with, or anger that you've held over something, letting it go, just using that space, that portal of, that spiritual loss, for you just to get rid of much as you can in that time, and whatever is weighing you down, whatever is not meant for you, just letting it go, just joining in the ritual, as opposed to like fighting it and saying, I don't want to let go, saying, yes, this is a space for letting go. I'm letting go. I'm letting go. I'm letting go. And it's not easy. It's not as easy as just like, oh yeah, that's what I have to do, I'm gonna do this. It's totally, it's hard. But then, as I said, this is what, you get into. This is where building yourself up to be able to work on those triggers and to make yourself strong. This is where that comes in handy, because you can either lay down and be like, I can't take this, or you can say, it's happening, so I'm going to move through it. And you just keep on moving. You just take it one step at a time. And you're feeling all of those pains right now. I'm in pain right now. Honestly, I tell you, I'm in pain. And I don't even, I'm feeling it, but I'm not even expressing it until I say those words, and I just say, I am in pain. When I say that, that's just like, it just all comes, and it just all starts flowing. It just all starts flowing out. But, I understand also that this is the process, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have this wisdom to allow this time to be special, because my dad, he was a special person. He was an amazing person. And if we have the wisdom and the knowledge and the strength to be able to honor our loved ones in such a way that we live fullest in the moments, even in death, we are living to the fullest, then I feel like that is also the greatest gift that I can give him, because his story is not over. His story might be in the life that we've known, but his story, stop yapping. I am yapping a little bit. I tend to yap, but this is what this space is all about. So thank you for making me laugh in that moment. I needed it. But his story is not just life. His story is what goes on. It's in the people around us. It's in all of us. It's in what we do, which is why using these kind of times. Keep yapping, Empress. Thank you so much, my brother. Thank you for coming alive. I appreciate you being here. This is why it's so important being able to use this energy and to share these things with each other, so that we can actually not be held back by our experiences that are supposed to give us power. It's easy to go into depression when you have that heavy energy to go down. But if we can take that energy and lift ourselves up and teach each other how to lift ourselves up with that energy, then we can create more, because this is the most powerful energy. And people have this thing about white witches and dark witches, yeah? Right? Now, I'm a person, I live in both the dark and the light. But you got to understand that while white witchcraft is made to be palatable, so that anyone can experience joy in it, experiencing the power and joy in the dark spaces as well, those spaces is where we have that real power to do some real good. It's where we can take, like we got the easy, so that the hardest path is the one that comes with like the most glory or the most reward. And it's the same for alchemy. Alchemy, when it's easy, it's nice and it comes with something, but when it's hard and it's painful, actually it comes with the most reward. So it's where we could do the most good. Tracy says, big up, I use both. Yes, thing, you got to use both. Googly moogly. Next thing, I'm gonna see some random old lady thinking she's Harry Potter. I like Harry Potter. Harry Potter is an impressive character. Had a lot of loss in his life as well. Funny talking about Harry Potter, because we can use this. Harry Potter, the character in the story, had a lot of loss, but you see how actually his connection to his parents become his like greatest strength, and how even the mark upon him and that connection he had to Voldemort in the story, that Voldemort actually, there's a lot of truth like in films, even though we think it's just fantasy. There's a lot of moral there that is trying to teach us, and the writers of these things, they understand something else about like spirituality and life that they're trying to put into stories so that we can see. Husband of a witch here, from what I understand, light and dark is subjected to the caster. That too, exactly. So thank you very much, that's true. It's a personal experience, and what is maybe necessarily light and dark, good and bad to me, might not be the same for you, because you've got your own perception of the world and your own experiences. So you'll be experiencing everything different. You might see something as, that is good and that is bad. And I said, for someone like me who is working with light and dark, I just see, as I spoke about now, about the pain that I'm feeling, and about how the beauty and joy there is in that, to be able to use that to honor my father as well. So there and there's perception of what I'm experiencing changes. And someone said before, like, it's cruel to tell people that you can talk to your loved ones after they're gone. But like maybe for some it would be, but actually knowledge gives us a gateway to be able to see things in a different light. And I'm not to say that, what I'm saying is the truth. It's just the way in which the world I see things, which makes sense to me, which has given proof to me of how things are, and it's helped me to be able to create more. So I like to see reality is moving around me, and it's moving around each of us individually. Do you think there is a true way to connect with family members who have passed? I think the true way, there's many ways to connect with family members that have passed, and many people seek spiritual guidance from outside. But I'd like to think that the one most useful way to connect with family members who have passed is just from inside, because we carry the fabric and essence of them within. And when we really silence the mind and we believe in that connection, when we really have trust and faith in that, they are there in all our thoughts, they are there in our guidance. And when things happen for us, it's funny, you could be like, oh, like, something you were stopped from doing something, and suddenly you'd be like, okay, yeah, like I can see that it was my grandma, it was my dad, it was my mom, like, like they're the kind of person that would set like that up in that way, right? You got to really trust the guidance from within. Christian here, the father hates all witchcraft, it's not good to practice. Well, you're free to be, this is Otter 792, you're free to be a Christian. And that's the good thing about witchcraft really is that no one's trying to, or alchemy or even paganism, no one's trying to stop you from being what you want to be. You can be whoever you want to be. If that upsets you, seeing others do their thing and being happy, well, that's your personal journey. I would implore you not to be upset, because I'm wishing love on everybody, and I hope that, you know, when you see others feeling good and doing good, rather than feeling fear about what they're going through, you just maybe just wish them well. But thank you for letting me know your thoughts on that. It doesn't really change my thoughts, to be honest, because it's not my personal belief. It's not the way I practice, and it's not the way I see the divine, true, loving source, creator of all, that, you know, actually will hate me for doing good things and for trying to make better in for my life and other people, you know. So yeah, like, that doesn't affect me. But I wish you the best as well. Deadpan Sausage says, I believe in this stuff, but it makes her happy. I've shared your life to her. She would love you. Oh, thank you so much, Deadpan Sausage. I hope that, what I'm experiencing a lot right now, but I would, I hope that if I can take the pain that I'm going through now, and that can help to make some others feel lighter in their grief and understanding a little bit about this death and life process, then that makes me feel lighter as well, you know. Tara says, did you have to WhatsApp me? See, like, this is the thing. It's like, you know what, yeah, like, let's get into this a little bit, yeah. It's a funny comment, and yeah, and I get it. Like, you know, there is a connection between us and spirit, and others have found it in some way. And I just feel like that, you know, like, I'm not putting down anyone's thing or whatever. I just feel like when we have like systems around us that control us and that need us to be in a certain fixed state so that it can continue, because when you have a lot of people living together and their ideas are all over the place, then it becomes very much harder to set your systems in place that everyone abides by and likes, because we're just going to have continuing opinions that's going round and round and up and down and change for things, and it makes a job of controlling a whole nation a lot harder. So when they're given certain books, i.e. religious books and stuff like that, to follow, some of the guidance in there becomes a bit more rigid so that we can stay aligned with that, you know, systemic thing that's around us, that, you know, just keeps the economy and everything else just like ticking over, services and everything else are ticking over. But within there are points of that allow people to connect with spirit and allow people to, you know, have their own personal relationship, but then it becomes skewed by these other things that put in to become a bit more rigid. And this is where, like, alchemy, it comes into play, because it allows us to be open and empathetic to those who just maybe, for lack of better words, sorry, I'm not saying don't have the capacity, but just found, okay, I'm not going to say that, but they found a way for them of using those guidelines to be able to connect. They couldn't do it the other way, like by themselves, like independently. They do have their connection as well, but it's just a bit skewed. So want to give like everybody like some empathy in it, like in whatever they done. But yeah, thank you for the hand in there and an opportunity for them. True Red Asarai. Minds are the devil's playground. Ignore them, Empress. Don't let them in. Earth them out. it's really important to be grounded. um Really, really important for us to be grounded and stay humble even in those moments. And I feel like this is why when I started the motherhood, I was already at that space where I've experienced, because I've been doing this witch thing for over 10 years now, and I've had experience with that before, but I never called myself a witch until 10 years ago, like openly anyway. So I've had a lot of experience of people coming at me always, and in the very beginning I would be like we say, I would be very triggered by that, but over a long time I've really learned to be open and just try and see everybody with that. Take those moments, just like now, just like this grief that we're transmuting and we're making into, more light energy for us. Take those moments, even in that pain, when people was like, oh, you think you're Harry Potter, when they came a really good analogy about Harry Potter and about, how we how we transmute, that tragedy, into power, and also the witch's broom and whatever, and clearing out things, and this is the release. Like a lot of the times things are coming at us and it feels bad, but being a witch who understands about transmutation of dark energy, takes that, and rather than look at it in, said, like someone said before about dark and light is a matter of perception, rather than looking at it as, okay, like you are trying to offend me and I'm going to focus on the fact that you're trying to offend me. Look at it as in, you are a reflection of me with a message for me, and I'm listening to your message regardless of your intention for the message. And then therein I found, oh, that's the next point of the thing I'm supposed to be talking to. Now, wherever I was to focus on the fact that you were trying to be offended to me, I would be distracted and put off, and I would lose the whole message completely. So I just nowadays stay very grateful and open to everything that's coming at me. But of course, I try to do so in sacred spaces like this one, where it's more controlled, and I have let that be open. I would say, if you are living your life like that, if in every moment you're putting yourselves in a situation at every moment when that's not healthy, because you're still a human being. Okay, all right. The Christians always seem to forget their ancestors were all pagans. Exactly. We all, and that's the thing, we've gone out into difference, but we all, prior to that, we all understood the earth, we all understood all of these things, we all were getting our downloads from Mother Nature. Yeah, we were all getting our downloads from the universe. We were all listening to the tales and stories of our ancestors, as opposed to what is in books created to just keep that guidance to one thing. It may become more about our way of life than just following another person's story. So that is very true. And yeah, they've forgotten. A lot of us have forgotten. And like when we talk to each other with that empathy, and realize that they've forgotten. And nowadays I don't try to convince anyone of anything. I just be like open enough to not necessarily always have to speak my truth, but to give where I feel the energy can be at least welcomed a bit. And other times I don't give at all. But this is a space where I will be giving in this space. So whether you come at me sideways, whatever, like, I'm going to return, I'm going to answer all the questions. What can you talk about grief? So we was talking about grief. That's from Seducey. We was talking about grief. We was talking about loss. We was talking about how that relates to the things that we're manifesting. Why is we was talking about the phenomena that sometimes after a lot of loss comes like a win. And we was also talking about how we can join in with that, ritual, that the universe had created this space where we've just lost something big, and how we can feed more things into that. We can let go of things, we can like tidy up, we can do whatever, and we're gonna do all of that as well. Okay, so it is now 12:59 on the hour, and in true following what we're saying, being reflective, it's been a lot, and I maybe we'll talk about this again like another time. But yeah, I'm gonna actually go now. And I'd just like to thank everybody that's been on this. This has been really healing for me, and I hope that it has helped some people, others that are out there as well. I know at least one person shared it with someone that they thought it would help. I'm gonna maybe try and post this as well, or at least parts of it maybe, so that I feel like this was a really, really important one today. And I want to say thank you to all of you. You've been like a big part of my healing, and thank you to my dad as well for creating this space. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't for him passing, I wouldn't be here talking about this today. So thank you to you all. Thank you to the people that are following the motherhood journey. And thank you to those of you who are interacting as well. And please do, if you haven't followed already, please do a follow. I am going to be posting daily again from now. I had about a week off of not posting. We'll be posting more and more stuff, and then we'll be joined here again next Tuesday, 12 p.m. GMT, for another episode of In the Motherhood. So thank you all, and I hope you have a very blessed day, and I wish for you nothing but love. Goodbye for now.